Okay, hi, I'm Paul, and welcome back to another episode of Plusma-cast. Here I am in the secret hideout of MacamYes Studios to speak with Ernest Ng. And the key thing is that we're going to tell again the story. We're going to get him to tell his story of how he started from the early days of a guy doing comics to running, to helping, partnering and running a studio. But the key thing is just to make the introduction clear. He is the illustrator and writer of Bro Don't Like That, and much years and toil after, when I first saw him speak, he finally agreed to speak with us.
that long, is it?
It took a bit of effort to get you on the show, so thank you, Ernest.
All right, thanks for having me, man. I'm so sorry that it took you a while.
No, but it's good. It's good that you finally managed.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this actually. I've been wanting to do this. It's just that scheduling problems.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Everybody all has their our
Yes,
business to
correct.
run, our initiatives and our
Yeah.
projects. Okay, so to I guess begin way back. For many people, when we consume a comic, or in your case, it's a 4-panel,
4 to 6.
4 to 6 panel
Yeah.
comic. Like we see as an image, we consume it for a few seconds, and yay. But clearly, it's something that you decide to get into, and it's a lot of effort to, I guess, to get it going, to get it popularized and such. So let's start from the beginning. Like, what was the first idea that you got to pick up that pencil and just draw?
Oh, we're gonna go way back, huh?
We're gonna go way
back. Okay. So what happened was, I actually started drawing when I was 5. You see, and I was a big fan of Scooby-Doo cartoons on Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah. So at that time, I was such a huge fan of Scooby-Doo, and I wanted to express myself in drawing the adventures of Scooby-Doo and the guys in his gang. And then I remember taking a small piece of paper, and I drew a 12-panel frame of Scooby-Doo going to a haunted funfair place and apprehending the ghost, and actually is the funfair owner.
Right.
And things like that. The typical
Scooby-Doo story, but
premise,
you put it onto your own.
I drew it as a
Right.
5-year-old kid. I drew it, but what happened? I showed it to my mom, and as a kid, you always show your artwork to your mom, and I think my mom was like, "Oh, that's very nice." But the thing was, then the next day when I asked for it back from my mom, it's gone.
Right.
So come to think of it, I think because I came from a very strict family upbringing, right? So I think my mom sort of like threw it away quietly, so that to nip it in the bud so that I don't become a cartoonist in the future. I need to be more focused on the more serious, the more academics and more serious professions. I mean, you can't blame them, the older generations have that sort of mentality.
I mean, they have their concerns.
Yeah, they have their concerns. So I've been drawing since then, and after that, she threw it away. But what I did was I picked up another piece of paper and I drew that same 12 frames again.
All right.
Yeah, and that's when I realized that I have this tenacity and really this passion for drawing comics. So I've been drawing since then, all the way up to 19 years old. I've been drawing comics.
From 5 to 19, that's about, that's very
14
long.
years.
14 years.
14 years. I was drawing on pieces of paper, I was drawing my textbooks. But what my most memorable thing is that I actually drew in my buku latihan. I think most people would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually still keep some of them.
I drew a few. I drew mine.
Oh no, I kept them, man.
Okay.
I really kept mine. I still have them at home. Haven't revealed it anywhere yet. I'm not sure what I'm waiting for. I'm sure people would love to see my old artwork, but I think I'm just worried because the carbon kind of like worn off. Because I used to draw with a pencil. So up to 19, that's when then I started to go to college. I started to go to university, and I decided to stop drawing because as I grew up, I felt. I mean, your parents always tell you that comic cannot make money. You need to get a serious job. And I actually believe that throughout that period, it finally sank in as I grew older. So I just said, just screw the comics and focus on my studies. So I went to take arts in mass comm. I took a degree in mass comm, and in that 4 years there, I did not do any comics, not much. You see, I drew very little and didn't take drawing that seriously anymore, but I still love drawing. What happened next was after I graduated, then I had a lot of adventures with my bros from my comics. If people are not familiar with it, my comics are stories of adventures of me and my bros, my closest friend, as we were in our young adult age because we used to live in a house, same house. So all kinds of nonsense happened lah.
Yeah.
So and at that time, we were hanging out with this bunch of girls, and Seamus, one of the characters, challenged me because one of the girls drew the 5 of them. There were the 5 girls and there were like 5 guys. So one of the girls drew the 5 girls, and Seamus, my bro, said like, Ernest can draw better than this. And then he saw like Seamus said, Ernest, no, I was like, what the heck, man? He's just like, Ernest, pick up a pen and draw it right now and show it to them that we can draw nicer. So I didn't want to do it, but then I bet everyone's just like, yeah, you scared, is it? You scared, is it? So eventually I just took the piece of paper, I drew the 5 of us, scanned it and uploaded it on Facebook at that time. And everyone's like, whoa, it's really nice, you know, because it has like features, yes. I mean, like, most people would draw like stick figures and all this and that.
It's quite distinct.
Yeah, it's quite distinct. You see, the character is distinct. I actually drew one of my characters, he has long hair. And I drew another friend who has like spiky hair.
Yeah.
So it's very distinct. And even up to the clothes that they wear. Like, he has a polo tee that looks like that, or he has a pair of shoes that look like that sort of thing. But to me, it was a little embarrassing because I haven't drawn since I was 19. And I think that time I was like 23 years old already. And I studied a little bit of Adobe Illustrator. I just like, you know what, since I had it scanned, why don't I color it with Adobe Illustrator? And it came out pretty well for that time. I was like, oh, my first colored artwork from the pen to a sketch to a colored artwork. And at the moment, I was so inspired because I love Powerpuff Girls. I love Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So those were my 2 influences in the art style and the coloring style. Maybe not so much. It's more leaning towards Powerpuff Girls. And then since then, I was just like, hey, this looks good, man. Let me draw the adventures of the bros in 6 panels cartoons. And then since then, it has never stopped ever since.
Okay, so let's peel it back a bit.
Yeah.
You've been practicing drawing. You've been practicing drawing for about 14 years before you 14 years before you went to higher education.
Yeah.
And there was a pause in there. Now, was it just simply, I take a pencil and I illustrate, or were there things like I was copying and maybe I had a teacher somewhere or or friends critiquing and say, hey, maybe you can improve it this way?
Okay, as I grew up, I think when I was like 9 years old, my mom actually sent me to painting classes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think that was the only tuition that I really enjoyed as a 9-year-old kid. I would go to this very dingy, kind of like shop lot where there's like tiny classroom and this one old uncle, I don't know if he's still around, but he would teach me and my other brother how to paint.
Yeah.
And it was always a very pleasant experience. It would be like an hour or 2 there. And that was the time that I actually learned how to, use a paintbrush. Actually, I don't use paintbrushes anymore, but it gave me an idea of how, you stroke, how you draw something, And I think we drew a parrot at one point. I think I really liked that drawing, but I don't know where is it now. So that was, I think, the only time that I learned. The other times is copying is not. I don't really copy because I sort of like reference, but I don't really copy 100%.
Okay.
And at the time also, I have a cousin, and she's also very into like the cartoons and stuff. But she's really good at like following. She can draw an exact replica of Pikachu. She can draw the exact replica of Son Goku back then, and it was, to me, I was always very jealous of her. Yeah. So, but for me, I'm more of like, I want to create my own things. So hence, I always draw like my own characters. Like I always have my own cartoons. I don't tend to copy. I tend to create more on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but other than that, there's very little. You probably not too much else happens in terms of, let's say, being able to, I guess, find expression or find, refining the skill like body proportions or such. The technical side of art. I guess.
Okay. Technical side. I think as I grew up, when I was heading towards my teenage years, I got really into anime and manga. But back then, it's like, because there's no streaming services last time. So getting access to anime was really hard. But manga was the closest.
Yeah, it was all those, about 10 ringgit.
Yeah, those books from, I think, was it Tora Aman? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's all the titles.
Comic House, I can't remember, but yeah. Those small books, yeah, and we had like, that was the time I was exposed to anime and manga. So I thought that was like, I just want to copy those. So I try to follow anime and manga. So I was really, really into that. Yeah, so that's when I really, got into that whole style. And then, Sorry, what was the question again?
Okay, no, I mean, basically it's what other influences that probably brought into yourself in order to develop either your skill or your ideas?
I think that was a time, yeah. Like, because I see all the anime and I try to copy, so like that's the part that I felt kind of improved my skills a little bit. But eventually, I thought I wasn't into manga. Then I got more into the more Americanized style of cartoons.
The newspaper 4 to 6 panels.
Yeah. The web comics and all that. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, And I felt that it didn't look like Japanese too much because it has an identity,
Right. Okay, so back to the point where you put up on Facebook and see what happens. So what was that? How was the response to that first attempt?
The first attempt, at first I just posted it on Facebook. There was an official page, right? Just that last time there was no page, and there was just Facebook groups. So I made a group, but then after a week later they introduced pages. So like, oh wait, so which is it now? So I made both because I didn't know which one was the correct one. So I made both anyway and uploaded on both sites. And then at the time, when I first released it, I only released it once a week, and it's only to friends. And the response was pretty positive because basically what I was doing is like I was telling all our embarrassing stories to people because all my friends know they are real because they know how stupid the 5 of us are.
Right.
So people are like, oh, it really happened. This really happened. I'm like, yeah, this really happened. So from then, I don't know, somehow then I think one of my other friends she said, hey, you know what? You should have a website.
Okay.
And at the time I was too cheap ass to go and get my own server and domain name. So I just like, let's just get a free like blogspot.com. So I started off like, okay lah. Then after like 2 months down the road, I just decided like, okay, I'll upload on don'tlikethatbro.blogspot.com. Site still exists, but I don't update it anymore.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to be lazy lah. And the focus now is more on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah, because the traction are much faster and people aren't really into blogs nowadays, I feel. That's my personal opinion lah. But anyway, so from then, after I uploaded on Blogspot and when blogging was still a huge thing, then that's when the readers all started coming in. People started sharing my things, talking about it. Then after that, it started got more traction from then. And I think the biggest breakthrough was in 2012 when they had these DigiWow Awards, when they award awards to like best YouTube video of the year, best blog of the year, blogger of the year, that kind of thing.
Right.
And in 2012, I actually won the blogger of the year award.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really a turning point for me at the time, and people really got to know me, and that's when I had my first newspaper center spread in New Straits Times. A whole center spread, just me, and an interview about me and my cartoons. Yeah, so I think that was a turning point when things really got picked up after that. Yeah.
Okay. So from that, so you were at it for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then, it kind of exploded. But how did things change from that point?
Actually, not much. Actually,
I mean, you got the audience, you got the fans.
It's just that.
Then now, what do you do with it?
The audience really just grew. You just realize you have more readers, but at the same time more haters as well. You have people
just as much.
Just as much. When the audience grow, there's definitely bound to be a proportionate number of negativeness that comes with it. So then the audience were much larger. And then that was when I actually thought that I actually want to write. I should compile all this stuff and make it into a book. Then in 2013, that was when my publisher came and approached me and said, hey, would you want to try to publish your stuff? And at the time, I had nothing to lose. So I just like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. And that as well became a thing, surprisingly. I'm not so sure if it's down to how much people like my stuff or it's just plain luck. I'm not sure. But I would love to believe that people actually like my kind of humor. And that's when I realized that there's a huge potential on growing the Don't Like That Bro brand. So from just a web comic, which is started as once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times a week, and then a book. And now I've released 4 books in total, and not including translated versions in BM and Chinese. Yeah.
Okay. Part of the question that I probably that I want to ask is, okay, you were pumping out material as you said, from once a week to up to 3 times a week, and you were just furiously at it. And when I encountered you much earlier, you were saying that, hey, I was doing this in the back in a very small, you could say modest or even primitive Spartan conditions.
Spartan is a bit too badass. I would say it's like kesian, that's kind of beggar-like kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain about that?
Okay. I would like you to tell that story.
Okay.
The reason is because to many people who want to be artists,
Yeah.
most of the time we've got our craft and we are like at the lowest level of, okay, now what do I do with my skills?
Yeah.
How do I find my voice or my space or my presence? So could you like explain?
Okay. So previously, before I got into comics full time, I was working in a production company. Okay, not a production company, a broadcast company. To
Okay.
be correct, accurate. So I work from 9 to 7 p.m. Let's say 8 p.m. 9 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Then I'll go home, have my dinner, and then draw comics till 4 a.m. And I lived in a tiny, tiny room. No internet, no TV, no hot water.
Back in the days, no internet.
Yeah, and because I was so bored in my room, then I just like the only thing for me to kill time
Just to craft.
was to draw my comics, and I think that was one of the most productive times in my life. Because imagine from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I'm just drawing with no aircon in a very stuffy, tiny room. That is actually, I think when I rented that room, it was actually a storeroom.
Yep.
Yeah, but it still asked me to pay $450 a month for it. No internet,
Okay.
and no hot water. So it was like those kind of rooms where you have a house, then I've got like the kitchen,
Yeah,
then
and
the
then the
smaller
back
room
room.
at the back, which
Yeah.
sometimes people call it the maid's room. But I think it's more like a storeroom because it's really, really small. Like if I were to lie down from end to end, it was just like another feet, then it's the wall already.
I mean, I used to draw those professionally for when I used to work in architecture, and yes, we call it maid's room.
Okay.
On drawing, we call it maid's room, but actually it's a storeroom.
It's a storeroom, right? So yeah, I lived in that kind of conditions for a bit lah. And then but it was very productive because there was no internet, so I just draw and draw and draw and draw and draw lah. And then from then, because I get to draw so much, I get to improve my skills because like any other skill set based kind of in terms of creative or in terms of physical, the more you do it, the easier it gets in a way that because you have muscle memory.
Yeah.
So because the funny thing is I draw with a mouse.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't draw with a tablet because I had no money to buy a tablet last time. So
Yeah,
I actually drew with a mouse. So after a while, I got really used to doing this.
I was presuming you were still doing like pen and putting into digital.
No,
Okay.
no. At first, I started with pen and paper. Then I'll scan it. I still remember I have those kind of like portable scanner which I put under the bed.
Yep, the flat bits.
The flat beds. Then after I'll just like take it out, plug it into my laptop and scan. Then I realized that it's very time consuming. That every time I take out and I had so little plug points in the wall. The one or two lah. You know? So one is for the laptop, one is for the scanner, and it's very bulky and it was like, it was very cumbersome lah at the time. But then eventually I like, screw the pen and paper process. I'll straight away jump to the digital side.
All right.
And just straight draw from there to save time. So from there I keep drawing. So eventually I got really used with the motion of the mouse. I can get the angles I want, the lines that I want. And because Illustrator is quite accurate, so it kind of like helps also lah.
Right.
Then from there, because I draw so much, I uploaded so much, and that is just I improved my skill in drawing that. But improving the story is because I drew so much and I uploaded so much. And it's great because people actually give comments online.
Right.
So you can see what they like. You can see how many likes you get. You see how much traction this particular comic is getting. And that's when you actually can like gauge like, okay, audience prefer this kind of stuff. Audience prefer that kind of stuff. So slowly I evolved to. It all started with me drawing what I want. But it slowly started to evolve to drawing that what I want and also other people want. Because it became more inclusive. Previously, it's more like a short scenery kind of thing. Like, I'm just telling this joke. Only I understand this joke. But thankfully, some people get it. Not many people. It was in the beginning. So some people get it, some people don't. But as you evolve, you see people's feedback on that. It helps you create more stories that is more inclusive of everyone. That people can find it more relatable. Yeah. So I guess that's how the internet works because people like relatable content. People like to feel that they are in the character's shoes when they see or consume something. They need to feel like they are part of it. They're part of the joke. That's why I kind of like deduce over the years of creating content online. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. I mean, it's a very interesting story. Okay, so so you still make Bro Don't Like That, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, but probably on a scaled back a bit.
I would say in a way it's scaled back a little bit. Last time because I had a very strict, very disciplined schedule. Like every Monday a new comic has to be out.
Right.
Every Monday, every Thursday, and then every Saturday. When I say that it became like three times a week, that was my schedule. I was like Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I will always have a comic up for my readers. And then eventually, when I had to do my book, so I had to scale that back a bit. And eventually, when I got more involved in YouTube, I also had to scale that a little bit more. So right now, I only draw comics. I only draw comics now based on like when there's an incident or there's like some big news that happened in the world or in the country. Then I'll make a comic out of it. I'll try to find a funny angle and capitalize, not saying really capitalize, but more like make people be more aware of the news through my comics. Yeah.
Okay, so it's from telling your personal story, and then it's evolved to being more inclusive, and then now it's kind of news of the day type.
Yeah, and also sometimes I'll just still once in a while to draw about comics that is inclusive, like it happens all the time, and I just like want to express it in a comic way, lah. Yeah.
Okay, let's say, I mean, obviously the audience might, long-time audiences might pick up the differences in, the change of tone as we describe it. Would, do they accept it, or some go, that's all right, or have they some move on?
Fortunately, most of them are alright with it, but like those back then one, they don't comment as much anymore because like last time they always comment, and I try my best to reply. Now it's just impossible to reply every comment. I still try my best. Because I believe that when you engage with your readers, it really helps a lot as well. So you got to be engaging with your readers. You see the comments, you take it good or bad, reply, because sometimes the bad ones, they might have a point, because I always believe that if someone talks bad about you, there's a reason why they're talking bad about you. Yeah. So for me, it's like eventually I first short story stuff, then I eventually become more inclusive. At the same time, talk to my readers, try to see what they're thinking. So those old school ones, like back then when I still post my short story stuff, they love that stuff. But as I grew up, they still support it because they've seen how much I've grown. They've seen like how much I've changed and evolved. But at the same time, I did not let go of the style of comedy so that they can latch on to. So in order not to alienate your old fans as you grow, you got to have a style of like comedy that is very distinctly yours, that even the old fans like, yeah, that's him, that's still him. He did not give this to anyone else to draw. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like most other mediums, it's also like your style of painting, lah.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Like when you see a Van Gogh painting, it's him. You see a Rembrandt painting, it's him because they have a distinct identity behind it. Even though maybe the concept or the artwork has changed, but the core values of what this comic represents is still the same.
Okay. Now, so let me just continue or take a point from what you mentioned. You said you got into YouTube. Does that mean that Bro Don't Like That got animated, or you got involved in something that you can?
Oh,
what's that story?
Okay, that story is is basically like, I would say like a spin-off kind of thing. Okay. Because as I was drawing cartoons, and sometimes we all know how we can get burnt out.
Yeah.
If you do things day in, day out, like working in a factory, you're doing the same things over and over and over. You tend to feel a little burnout. You tend to feel like, oh, what am I doing? You need an outlet. So at that time, my friend Dan Koo, owner of Dan Koo Productions, he was just beginning to do his YouTube stuff, and I was his friend, and we actually met online. Strangely enough, he's not like my childhood friend or anything. We just met online, and we just added each other just because we share the same passion of creating content. So when he just did his YouTube stuff, then I just added him, and then we actually met at an event, which I was like, last time I was a freelance MC. Okay. I go on stage and I MC for events, and I saw him like in the crowd. And then after that, I was done MCing, I sat down and talked to him and all that. We got to finally meet him in real life lah. Then that's when I know he started doing videos, and I was like, hey, that's actually quite fun, You get to shoot videos, and you get to like tell people your story. He tells people his stories in his own way, like in videos. So for me, it's like, then he asked me to act, I was like, and that was an outlet for me, because when you draw so much, I just want an outlet, but in a different way. So I get to act, I get to express myself, I get to be someone else when I act. So it was definitely a good outlet to express in a different way, so that I don't feel so pissed off with my art, with my drawing, so often. So I get to jump back and forth, and it was a great way to keep me constantly stimulated, keep me constantly motivated. So that was how I started to act, and somehow I really enjoyed it, and I do it more and more, and eventually it became like a business as well. So apart from doing my comics, which is now a business, when I started YouTube with Dan, then that also became a business. So I have two now. So yeah.
Okay, so on the business side, let's probably I'll go one and then I'll go the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bro Don't Like That, as you said, like it's got 4 books. What other things have you done with with this title now brand as you describe it?
For the past 8 years, actually not much. It's always been comics. But I do have like plans for the brand.
Okay.
Moving forward, because people always want something fresh. People always want something new. You can't always give them the same thing over and over, because if you don't adapt and change with times, then people will just change content lah. Simple as that. So when I want to adapt, of course, I've just only recently started to release t-shirts, and do more on ground events to meet up with my readers and all this and that. So to keep the interest going and keep the relevancy there lah. So yeah, I've done some merchandise and hopefully I can expand to other things, such as maybe a proper animation, because since I draw cartoons, so maybe the direction next will be animations. Yeah.
All right. So in terms of monetization, it's not just I sell my panel to, as you indicate, the newspaper and the printer. It's
for me, I've never gotten a newspaper. I already did try. There was last time a newspaper was interested to have me draw for them weekly, but then I gave them a rate that they're not very comfortable with, so that didn't fall through lah.
Okay.
We couldn't come to an agreement, so that didn't fall through. So I've never really gotten into newspaper, but then that's when I had to monetize it in a different way. Last time when I was uploading on the blog, I was one of those rare bloggers who actually draw to tell stories. Because most bloggers, they take pictures and they write. But I draw comics, and I keep the writing to a very, very minimum. So from there, actually, I was fortunate enough to be approached by agencies. And they would just say, hey, would you be interested to actually draw sponsored comics, like for brands? And that was one of the very early ways I monetized my comics. Then from that, it wasn't much. So quite challenging also, because I don't get clients all the time, and not all clients were into like, I want to have a comic sponsored post, But somehow it worked at the time. I was quite glad it did, and after that, then when it got into book, that's when things became more stable lah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, why I asked that question is more to for ideas for the audience. That there are probably a lot of people out there who equally are doodling and such. So how do you? So the question was aimed at how to the process. Okay, you define your craft, you define your product, and then now how do I translate it into a sustainable business? So that's some insight that you're given. Now then there's the other story of you partnering with Dan.
Yes.
With Dan Koo in MacamYes Studio.
Yeah.
So what I read on so I researching quickly is that MacamYes Studio is the body group behind Dan Koo.
Yes.
And not only is he doing his you could say comic stuff, equally comic videos.
Okay. Comedy videos
and okay. So I guess how else do you contribute to this endeavor besides being a technical director?
Okay, I'm not really the technical director.
Okay,
I'm more like the production director.
Okay.
Yeah, technical director is another guy.
Okay.
But how I contribute to this other venture is that because Dan and I, we've been doing YouTube for the past over 5 years.
All right.
I would say, and I've always been there since the channel grew. You see, and I'm one of the writers. I write stuff for him, and I also act as well. So that's the other outlet, like I said because basically I write for both sides, cartoon and the videos. But in the videos, I get to act. I get to be a different person. So that's my venture in YouTube is mostly the writing part, the acting part, and sometimes the directing part as well. I get the opportunity to direct and maybe edit some of the videos as well before it goes into output. Yeah.
So more or less the key. Perhaps the key transferable skill is being able to
tell the story.
To tell the story.
Yeah.
Okay. Just that you switch the medium. Just that the medium is different from.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Okay. It is in a way I would say is to diversify a little bit. Because you have a core talent there. If you're good at telling stories, then there are many ways to tell a story in different platforms and different mediums. So I kind of use that, and so I can tell stories in comics, and I can tell stories in video forms as well. Yeah.
Okay. So. Probably from back then in your little room, in your little shoebox room, until now. Okay, how much has changed in terms of perhaps your daily routine or your work ethic,
Okay. Daily routine definitely got a little busier. Eventually, I decided to leave that broadcast company, that job, and go full time to drawing comics and acting on YouTube. I would say acting on YouTube was more like a hobby at the time. So things have changed now that I have like 4 books and I have a studio right now. So what changed is that you have responsibilities a little bit more, because on the comic side, I have distributors, I have like publishers, I have editors.
Okay.
And then on the video side, I have editors as well. I have editors, I have a crew, and I have people that I need to pay. So things are a little more of a handful, but I'm glad that I can manage lah. Because thankfully everyone that's involved with me are pretty good people as well. They're great. They're great to work with.
Well, okay. So, sorry. I mean, what I was trying to get at is that so of course, definitely, on one hand, professional growth is being able to carry on more responsibility at the same time with more. What about focus? How do you? What about personal focus? Like, how do you still be able to concentrate, or in this age of electronic media and discussion? So,
what I believe is that as a creator, as a content creator, you always need to have an outlet. When things get a bit too like consistent, like too routine. Like, I'm always drawing comics, I'm always shooting videos, I'm always shooting other comics, I'm always shooting videos. So somehow, like eventually those two became like a career path, you see. So like I said, like back then, acting and doing videos is like an outlet, but now it's not. Now it's like a job thing, it's like a career thing. So I have an outlet. I actually like get into other hobbies that doesn't require too much thinking, but more physical stuff. So I like to do hiking, I like to go scuba diving, I like to go outdoors more. Like, because I spend so much time indoors, I've developed this habit of like enjoying nature a little bit more. So that's like my outlet. So doing those helps me, like ease back and get back into focus and still create content. Yeah. And I think the most important is that you have to enjoy doing it. When I draw my comics, when I shoot the videos and all that, I enjoy them. I really enjoy doing that. And that really helps. If you don't enjoy what you do, I don't think anyone could last, for a long time.
Very good. Okay. Now, here's a question that I want to ask, that in terms of perhaps industry insight.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of YouTube and web comics, there's probably many titles. So on one hand, that you put out so much that you got noticed. Again, how might one stand out? I guess or at least grow their channels.
Okay, I would say to stand out, you really have to be different. The word here is different. I mean, like somehow everybody wants to be different, but you have to be like different in such a way that what you create is something new for someone, like fresh. You come into the industry, you gotta be fresh. So back then, when I came into the scene with my, my comics about my bros, no one was drawing about their housemates. No one was telling stories about, about people shitting their pants. No one was telling stories about getting stood up by a girl. Those kind of stories that, at that time when I was doing it, it was fresh. Like, it's something new. And then like when Dan started off his YouTube, he was doing like love short films and comedy short films. So those were fresh. Those were new stuff. And audience online always look for something new to watch. And you gotta be aware of that, because it's great to emulate someone, but you gotta find an identity which makes you different in some ways that, basically when you have a brand, you need to have a unique selling point, something different about it that stands out. Because if you just create something that is just similar to everyone else, no one's gonna really pay attention. You might get some traction, but the thing that truly makes you special is you need to have a certain sense of uniqueness within your brand. Because if you don't have that uniqueness, then you're just like every other content creator out there. So I feel that most of the content creators out there we have right now, they are unique. Like if you take, for example, Comic Ronyo, I think that was one of the most popular comics then. Unfortunately, he really quit drawing. I have no idea why. I've never spoken to him in real life. But he decided to just stop drawing comics. But he was one of the powerhouses in the last year, I think. And his comics were really good. That humor, the way he tells it, the crassness was really fresh. And that's why he had a lot of followers. But he he quit while he was ahead, which was a shame because I would love to see more from him. Yeah. So that I believe that is how someone can get really noticed, is if you are unique. If you're doing something else that everyone is doing, then you're just another run of the mill.
Okay. So maybe to rephrase, maybe to put it to my understanding, that there's always a space, but to start competing, you got to bring in something new.
You have to, don't say, you have new, yes, but new in a sense of what's new here. I mean, like, okay, to put it very straightforward example, it's like when you start off, you're always doing like 10 types of this, 2 types of that. I don't know, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm no offense to people who are doing videos like this, and they're still great, but if you see them doing it, right, and you're like, hey, I can do that too. So you come up with a channel called like 5 types of this, 10 types of this. You're doing listicles as well. People are going to say that, you know,
Not another one.
not another one, you know. You don't want to be that not another one guy. So maybe you can do something else, you know. You can still do your listicles, but maybe your listicles are not so, you know, those kind of like relatable humor, maybe something else, random humor perhaps, slapstick humor perhaps. You know, it has to be something fresh, something different that people are willing to consume. Because if you always come up with the same thing, it's like basically brand A oatmeal comes this out and it's famous, you know, and you're like, okay, you should come out oatmeal, but what's so special about your oatmeal? It's the same. So people don't want to consume the same thing over and over. People want something different. So you can be new, but you have to be fresh, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. What about, okay, so this is the journey so far.
Yeah.
And I guess my question, now a new question is that what is the, you know, what's in the future for Ernest Ng, the person, the man, the brand?
Frankly, there are some plans for expansion, perhaps, to do more things, you know, so I can focus more towards the creative side. So the thing that is more requires more manual labor, perhaps I could get some support and assistance from someone else. But the thing is, to be honest, I also not very sure about that. You know, I'm just saying stuff, and you know, the thing is, I would believe it's always important to have a plan. I would say my plan isn't super solid right now, but I know I'll get there. Yeah, but at least have a goal, you know. My goal right now is just to maybe release another book, or maybe really get into the whole animation thing that I was talking about. Yeah, always think of the larger picture, growing your brand.
Okay, so we've covered everything, you know, just about the entire journey from the start, you know, from your 5 years until now. Let me get into my 3 questions that I ask all the time.
Okay.
With every episode is, so starting off with, for a person who wants to become, get into comics, be it the 4 to 6 panel that you do, or maybe something like,
one panel
or the manga, that kind of things. Okay, so for a person who has the idea that they want to get into this, what might you advise them?
I would advise them to just do it. And don't tell anyone about your idea. Seriously, don't. Just don't. I mean, I used to have that habit of like telling people what I want to do.
Okay.
But it always ends up I don't do it. Because humans, I realized that I have this, I'm not sure if it applies to everyone, but I have this weird habit if I tell someone something, and then it feels good to tell them. And when you get that good feeling, suddenly you just don't feel as motivated once after you get that good feeling. So it's like when you don't tell, and then you execute it, and actually people acknowledge it, it feels much better than just telling straight off. You figure what I mean? So for me, is that if you have any idea, you have any plans to do something, just do it quietly and launch it and see what people say. Because if you tell someone, there is like a phantom expectation, you see? Because it's not really there, but you tell someone, there's a phantom expectation. And it kind of like, it will be a hindrance to you because you already have that level of expectation. You tell your friend, let's say I tell you an idea, and you're like, hey, that sounds really good. So there's a phantom expectation. Then what will hold me back is like, what if I do it and it's not as good as you think it is? So we're trying to avoid that whole expectation part. That's why when you do it, it's out, you show someone there's a tangible value already. Okay. So when you show it to him or her, then they're like, yeah, this is really good. And that is where you can grow. If you just tell someone an idea but you don't execute it, it's much harder, to push it forward after that because of that phantom expectation.
Yeah, I think I've had that a few times personally that, that, hey, maybe I'll do this or this. But as soon as I said, then
it doesn't. You don't really.
yeah,
because your expectation, because you will use their expectation, their reaction as a benchmark. It will hold you back. That's what I believe. That's why I've never like told anyone if I want to do something, I'll just go ahead and do it, and then I'll get my feedback once there's something that they can actually see. You know, yeah. I guess that's how it works for me, lah.
Okay. Now the next question is for those who are developing your skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've got the idea. They're getting started and just trying it out. For those who are developing your skills, what advice might you have for them?
Okay, or whatever skills that is, like, be it drawing, writing, shooting, editing. If let's just say it's all about practice. It's really, really all about practice. Once you practice more, you have the muscle memory to do it, and it becomes easier. So what I would say, sometimes some people will say that I don't have the time to go in that one. It's okay. It's to get good at something, you gotta suck at something first, correct? So for me, it was like put in the hours, really, really put in the hours. But yeah, you don't have the time. How about half an hour a day? How about an hour a day? I'm very, very sure that these hours that you put in will accumulate over time. Like you put in 1 hour in a week. I mean, you put 1 hour per day for a week. That's 7 hours. That's a day of work. Because we work 7 to 8 hours a day. So if you put in 1 hour every day for 7 days, you get 1 day of work. And you actually practice for 1 day after a week, if you put in 1 hour. And it will become better and easier, and you can grow incrementally. So always put in the hours, no matter how small. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, good enough. Just do something about the craft that you want to develop. Then it should really help you in the long run.
Okay. And the last question, well, maybe the second last, what advice might you have for someone who wants to start professionally in this? Okay, so now they've got the idea, they built their skills, and then I go, okay, now what do I do with it?
Professionally, this one's a bit tricky because it's like you don't really know when you're going professional with it. It just sort of like happens. So I guess the easiest way to put it is that when you know you're professional in it is when you can actually make money out of it. When there's a potential for monetization, that's when you realize that you can potentially grow professional with it. So I would say don't rush it. Don't immediately when you just start off, I want to be famous, I make a lot of money. And that's a very wrong mindset to have because you haven't really practiced and you haven't really built anything. And if that's your first goal, it's not wrong to have that goal, but let's just say if you do it for 6 months and you don't achieve this goal, it's very demotivating one. So what I believe is that do it because you enjoy doing it and do it because you want to share something with someone. Because we live in an internet age, it's easy to share something, easy to share your content, your passion, your storytelling. It's so easy to do that. So start off with that first and slowly work your way up. Then when you can realize you can go professional, you can sustain this career professionally, then that's when you go professional. But until then, don't simply just quit your job and do it full time. The reason why I quit my job at the time was because I had a book deal. And even then I was so worried that I might not make ends meet, you see. Because when I quit my job, then I realized that, damn, I won't have income for the next don't know how many months. You'll be thinking of that. That's why before I quit my job, I saved some money first to sustain me for at least a year. Before I actually embark and decided to just do comics full time. So always have a backup plan. But going pro, it's a gradual process and don't rush into it.
All right. Okay, so just before, I guess, when I said this is the footnote of there's one little bit left is, do you have any shameless plug for yourself?
Shameless plug, yes. Don't forget to like me on Facebook on www.facebook.com/don'tlikethatbro. Or if you like more video stuff, you can go to youtube.com/MacamYes Studios. Or if you like to see my vlogs, you can go to youtube.com/Ernest Ng Bro. Or if you want to see pictures from me on Instagram, you can go to instagram.com/Ernest Ng Bro. That's a lot, yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. We do have an end slide for you to see in writing.
All right, that's cool.
Or the description.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, thank you, Ernest, for the opportunity to speak like this.
Yeah, that's great.
So for the audience, again, Ernest Ng, webcomic, film, actor, director,
you could say
and
that.
much more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's it for Plusma-cast. Again, we will have, if you want to get in touch with me, I will be putting up my email in the description. You want to get in touch with Ernest, you can watch the last few seconds of the video. And with that, thank you all for watching. Okay. Ernest?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right.